This is your daily market recap for Monday, June 27th, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Monday, June 27th, 2022. Days are moving fast. Let's keep it going. Again, if you are newer to this channel, newer to these videos, please check out the Discord rooms where we talk about stuff. It's where a lot of the learning, tons of side channels here for education. Again, this is supposed to be a full service of education for trading for free. And the reason why I do it free is I tell people, again, I want to teach traders to empower themselves so they can make money on their own versus being dependent on anybody. Because again, the market is a game. It's literally a game. It's a casino game. It has rules, has structures, it has repeating patterns. Once you learn them, you can literally go off on your own and do whatever you need. Now, again, people love to follow me. That's great. But honestly, the best trading is going to be fit your personality, your time frames, how you want to do things. So on that note, if you have any questions, again, DM me or stop in. Again, if you think ultimately you are one step or one procedure from winning long term, it usually has to do with risk management. Those are the things that I really enjoy helping people with, because it's very simple versus what's this trade going to do and what's that going to do. No, it's what are you going to do to interact with the market? Because again, you and I, we don't control the market. We can only control our reactions to it. On that note, let's get into it. Oil or Bitcoin. Let's do Bitcoin first. Holding up. Nice little capitulation. Should bounce. Now, long term, it's tougher to say with the head and shoulders top. People are saying, well, what's the bottom? What do you do next? Yada, yada, yada. No, it's real simple. Hold here. You're good. Could get to the trend line, maybe even higher. Again, keep in mind that if you do the rubber band, man, you know, even here's to go down, down, and then once it's like the second wave got tired and choppy. Here's one wave. Here's the second wave. Now, again, I'm not a wave theory person, but I know I look at symmetrical movements in action from price movement. With all this volume, again, volume being key, it's probably oversold. There's probably a lot of people who are going to chase any pop. Just keep that in mind. So if the action holds up, the likelihood of a pop only grows, especially after a big move down. I mean, 48,000 down to 20 or 17,000 is a big freaking move. Maybe it goes lower in time, but if it doesn't, this is the kind of action that would precede a bottom potentially. Keep that in mind. Oil. Talked about taking some profits on this. Now, again, I expect this to get much lower in time, but I also believe that the market isn't going to move in one direction every day. We talked about this is a pretty solid move, 123 down to like 100, essentially. 101. Now it's bouncing. Now it's back up to like 108. I could see 108 to 112. When we get into the USO section later in the video, stick around. I'll show you exactly why I took off all my USO shorts and puts, because I didn't like the way my puts were going to act in the near term, and there was just better opportunity costs. And that's one of the things I always tell people about, like staying in something, make sure it's worth it. Meaning, if there's other ideas out there that are better, sometimes it's better to move on. Now, again, I'm not giving up on oil short for the long term. Like, I'm just waiting for it to reverberate and bounce. I don't think it has much upside, but I also don't believe it might have a much downside in the near term. Maybe into next week, this will all change. Again, we just have to let the price action play out. TLT. Now, again, I'm playing this as I'm recording this as the market's open, so you can just kind of see a little bit. TLT gap down today. Not surprised. Remember, end of quarter markdowns. TLT has had a terrible quarter, as you might imagine. It's just straight down, lower, lower, lower lows, lower highs. Now what? You know, we talked about hitting the 20-day would be the first resistance. I mean, you hit it there and you backed off. Same thing. Said you could start buying back down here on the 110s. Now it's a little tougher, because are we going to get a symmetrical retest? You know, is it going to be a W pattern, or is this a head and shoulders? And like, here's the left shoulder, here's the right shoulder a little lower. Again, these are all repeating patterns, but we don't know for sure. So the best way to play this is, if you're in, let it run. Just be patient. If you have calls, please have in the money and be patient. And if you are waiting to add, this morning you could have added dips. Now, again, the bigger the dip, the more you might add. That's how I would look at it. You know, if you get down to here, I would add huge, because now my stop is literally the lows. Now, if it's up here, I'm adding in pieces smaller and expecting sideways. That's how I would look at it. The dollar, keep it simple, folks. Keep it absolutely simple. Because when I say keep it simple, meaning we've talked about the monthly on this, but we also know what? Every month, every day doesn't make a trend. So if this thing needs to consolidate under the channel high for as long as it needs to, because of the market's going to go lower in time, the dollar is going to spike, just keep in mind that could be weeks. I mean, a lot of people are anticipating a bear market to continue now, and that's where I'm getting more bullish, because that's like everybody's bearish at the lows, no one was bullish at the highs. And again, if the market is going to rally, maybe the dollar pulls back some. It's really that simple, you know, or it just flags out choppiness. I mean, that's what I believe in, but you do you. Now everybody again is getting super crazy on the dollar. It's just like, you know, you're holding above the nice smooth up channel it had. I mean, even if it hit mid 27s and just hung out, I don't think it's necessarily bearish long term. It just means chop. People don't realize, like, these commodity, like these currency and some of these certain trading avenues are very slow and choppy. And people expect big moves in the dollar all the time, or big moves in the bond market. It doesn't always play out like that. They take time. The VIX, what have we said? Going into earnings. Here was earnings in January. Here was earnings into April. If you're watching this video and you understand that this is why we're expecting the VIX to potentially drop going into July and the market to rally, please like this video and leave a comment and go, I get it. I see what you're talking about in the VIX. Because I think there's a lot of people who are just, they're like, what? Why would you be bullish? Why would you be bullish? Well, look at it. The VIX is reoccurring patterns going into earnings. We talk about the seasonality. It's in the Discord room. There's plenty of data to back it up. And if you don't like to be driven by data and probabilities, then I guess you can just stay bearish. Now watch, the market will drop a little bit tomorrow. Someone will be like, oh, look at that, it's so bearish. And then it's like, no, it's just consolidating, friend. I know, it's interesting. When you put yourself out there every day, you get a lot of people who just want to tell you you're wrong. And I get it. It doesn't maybe jive with their positions. I don't care. Again, if you're getting bearish now, where have you been? We talked about this down channel. Once you broke below the down channel, it might be the capitulation move. Now you reverberate back up. And remember what happened going into April. Here's what was going on into end of January. Booyah. Here is earnings up again into January. Again, end of month. Usually some rotation up. Because again, you can't go down all the time. New money comes in. Money goes into 401ks, IRAs, all sorts of stuff that position for the end of the month. People front run that. And also too, if institutions have big gains, shorts, or they have, you know, they feel like they're lacking the market, they might buy in at the end to chase this up. It's not exact science. It's just psychology. QQQ. It's exactly, if the TLT's bottomed, I think tech is going to rally the hardest. Well, it hit channel lows back over the 20-day. Everyone's going, oh, it's about to collapse. I don't know. Look at the volume. There's not much selling today. Here's your capitulation. Channel lows. I mean, here's your last time channel lows. Again, it feels more like this. Go run up into, you know, March. Here was March all the way up to March 5th. I know people are like, oh, it started in 314. Whatever. It went from OPEX up. Here you go. I mean, OPEX up. Again, if you are seeing this, I always tell people, like, post this and the daily market recaps that you picked up on this, because this is what we're looking at. I mean, again, it could be days, it could be weeks. I don't know. Maybe it chops a little bit, but the play is up. Short the down, you know, you can short pops, but be patient. You know, the seasonality of July is up, because usually sell in May and go away, and June suck. And so the best month of the third quarter is July, and meaning best, like up being the best. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's just that simple. So take it for what it's worth. Gold, you can't even get up on this Russian news. I've told people this. Now, again, end of the second quarter, July can usually be bullish for metals. No one's going to argue that. I just think the luster comes off, because if the market gets comfortable near term, it just doesn't seem like it's acting right. And if something's not acting right, you don't want to own it. It's broke its trends. It's sideways flopping. It can't go anywhere in this market. It feels like the big handle is the big handle. And it's not going to be a buy until the handle breaks and everybody goes, I don't know, nuts. And we're not there yet. We're just like, every day I see the same folks on Twitter who, again, I like posting and talking to them. They're just, if they're watching this, I'm not trying to be mean. You just don't know your past. You're really trying to pick a bottom when the bottom is always evident by the blowout. That's when the best time to buy this stuff. And silver, I mean, again, someone was saying, oh, is it time to buy silver? No. It looks like it's a big, it's big chop zone. It looks like it's about to blow out the lows. It's at the lows. I mean, this is the no-brainer buy zone in the past. I just don't want to own this stuff. I mean, it just seems so obvious, man. But you know what? Emotions to play again, because gold and silver is like, the Bitcoin folks or some of the people, well, they feel like you always have to trade it. And again, trading is as easy or as hard as you want to make it. Now, again, I know silver, here's a blowout, COVID, then you rip. We're not there. We're just in this big ass nasty base process, which I think we're about to break. When I say think, when, days, weeks, months, I don't know. But it's not time to buy. GDX, same thing. At the range lows, it probably should pop with the market, but just leave it alone. It just doesn't have that much upside. I think there's better stuff out there. GDXJ, put into the Discord rooms like, I'm buying it down here. 35.20. I get it. I don't want to buy it. There's just a million other better things in my mind, and this thing could go sideways, and it will drive me crazy. And again, I've been in this position, hence why I'm recommending it, where I bought miners and the market was going to rise, and I bought miners and they went nowhere. And they went up 2 or 3, maybe 5%, but other stuff went up 10, 15, 20, 25%. And I'm sitting here pulling my hair out going, well, you only have so many opportunities to, take on trend move or counter trend moves of power. If you take them on with the wrong assets, it's literally like a total loss, meaning that you don't, you did not capitalize on your opportunity. Think of it as someone, I'm trying to think of a good example of this. It's like, someone offers you, $500 and you take $3 of it, and you're like, oh, I'm just trying, you thought you were being friendly, but it's like, no, if someone, you got to take the money when you get it in trading, especially if it's an offer. And meaning offer, meaning like we've obviously confirmed the market's going to rally probably into the worst case scenario, early July vacation. And you're going to be long something that might not move. And that's where we get into some of like the names that we're recommending. They're moving. They're absolutely moving. AG, friend of the channel, talked about selling up here, talked about buying down here, said just let it be. Now look, I hear for weeks, Stan, you're an idiot for not buying down here. And I'm just telling you, you're calling me an idiot when the reality is like, this is just nothing. There's better names. AEM. I mean, I love these names long term. I just don't want to buy them now. There's better opportunities. Until you start understanding opportunity cost, you realize it's just dead money. It was like buying it here in October and it went up and down, then boom, whoosh, to end January, end of the month. That's just how it works sometimes. And it can be incredibly frustrating. I mean, I've asked anyone who's been following, they know, like I've been caught in these cycles where I really think, something's going to happen, and it's like, and it didn't. And especially in the metals market, because you feel like inflation's going this, and the headlines are so bad, and you read Zero Hedge, and the world's going to end, and it's like, it's time. No, it's not. This company, NFGC, we like them long-term. Sprot's buying them. I mean, IPO, I like that it IPO recently, so they don't have a bazillion shares out there. I would just, at this point, go, wait. I would go wait. I would just wait. Probably get back over 5s, but when the market dumps, everything gets pulverized. Pass. And we're just, again, I'm just trying to say, we're in this choppy, upward drifting market. The odds of a big blowout down are not now. That's all. So if you can take those out of your mind and stop anticipating because you missed out on the blowout, pass. Again, holding bottom. Here was the blowout. I'm going to show it to y'all again because some people are like, oh, what are you talking about? Here was the blowout in the SPY. Big down, gap, big down, down. You went from 415 down to 365. That is the capitulation move. These gaps are total panic, giving up, flushing out. Now you rally back. You counter trend. It's not that hard, y'all. X. I like this down here. Now there's a lot of these material names like them down here. X, if you bought it down in the 18s, probably getting up to 22, maybe 25 range. Again, I like it, but I'm playing for points right now, so I'm trying to trade names that move points. VALE, same thing. Nice little professional gap. We talked about this. Loves to do the opposite of the trend. Like it makes a higher high, then it's going to start a downtrend. Makes a lower low, it's starting an uptrend. Makes a new low to go higher. Again, made a new low to go higher? Question mark. I think that's the repeating pattern. You're welcome. Now, how high could VALE get? 17 maybe? 16s? I mean, it's, again, percentage-wise, not bad. I'm just playing for points. Your choice. Nucor. Now, this is what we're trading because, again, we talk about points, puntos. They guided up 2 weeks ago. Stock was at 188 as of April, which is crazy. 2 months later, we're down here. Cut in a third, essentially. Well, even more than that. I guess 190 to cut in half. My bad. My math is bad. I said, people, watch down here. You had a ton of stopping power. This was a red flag of capitulate of to me VPA. Someone had the stopping power. You gapped up. You closed at the low. Again, the volume much lighter. You gap down again. Doji, hammer, boom. And now, again, people say, like, well, why are you buying more? It's giving me more opportunities. Again, stop by the Discord, drop a comment and be like, oh, I get it. The more something tests, the better the outcome potentially if you can get near the low. Because, again, if you get to pick, you see the bottom, it gives you very clear references. So this layering in and layering out of trades makes sense. I hope it's making sense. The more it held here, boom. And then it went from what? 118 up to 139. Now, 20 points, fine. What's 20 points from 105? Again, I keep saying 125. It's probably somewhere in this fib. Who knows? Maybe it's this trend line. Maybe it gets up to the... We don't know. When the market gets oversold, it can reverberate the opposite way just as hard. Just keep that in mind. Speed begets speed. Like if everyone's puking, it means it probably can rally just as hard at some point because it's a trap. Do you get that? Traps. CCJ, again, a lot of people are like, oh, you could buy this. Now, I'm going to have to admit, I'm going to say, hey, if you're listening, I didn't buy it. I think it's holding up well. Uranium news was positive. Maybe it can get back up into the 26, 27. Again, how you want to play these names, I don't care. I think they're going higher. How long, how much, it all really depends. It just all really depends. I'm not saying here sell it. I'm saying if you would have bought down here, it's a good trade. So I'm admitting defeat. Because I said just leave it alone. Because I thought it might be like gold and silver where it's gone nowhere. Hey, congrats, uranium folks. Hey, again, I am not always right. Say that. I do fish and I do hit at a large percentage well, but I'm not always right. It just is what it is. But congrats, good trade. All right, here's another trade we put on. Mosaic. Oh my God. We talked about this being a blowout capitulation. Then the next day we started buying out here. And actually, I thought it would get a little lower, and I got convinced by Drew. He's like, I'm buying it down here. I said, you know what? Why am I being so picky here? Could it get down to 43 or 44? I'll start buying it in the 45s. And again, I'll layer in. And then I noticed, I'm like, oh, okay, here's the stopping power. And then you zoom out on the monthly. You can see like big red move. It's going to have a wick. Do we have to make a new lower low? I don't know. But if the market's bullish, and now we talk about it, if it gets over the 200 day, here you go. Now the trade isn't a ton of points. It's just one of the ones I saw later, and I still agree with it. And it makes sense. Because this candle in itself, we talk about sometimes at the highs and lows, you get like these candles that are so deceptive, they seem like you're going lower. Facebook will show that very shortly. At the low, it looked like it was going lower and turned right around. People are like, well, how the hell did you buy this? Again, it had to do more with the market. Now, again, stop by Discord. Understand this. If the rising market, if you have a rising market, it should go up. It should, does that make sense? If the market's stopping power showing, or market is showing stopping power and rising, this is, as it is lagging, because we'll all agree it didn't bottom the first day. But if the market is a mechanism of rotation and money around, and if the market gets comfortable, they will buy stuff. That's why adding this late made sense to me. Because I'm like, oh, if the money is going to come back into the market, it's going to rotate in. It's going to look at stuff that's on sale. And you go, well, what's 79 to 44? That's a pretty big sale, especially in a company where, I mean, sad for farmers, but the cost of fertilizer and all of their materials, phosphates, they're going up. Just call it what it is. Just is what it is. Go Nucor into the close. We talk about this, buying this today. If you're stop by the Discord room. Follow me on Twitter. We're dropping continuous hints of what we're doing. Hey, that's my old pup before he passed away. I'll show you on Twitter just in case, because people are like, what are you talking about? Here it is, the trading agent. New core 10-minute. We said this is a J-hook pattern. Watch the blue zone here, anticipating that later. And again, this was 2 hours ago, not just talking to talk. Hope people realize that. Generally trying to help. Mosaic, again, and here's another one. CF, we talk about the sector, and we noticed the same kind of thing. And yesterday, and I know not yesterday, Friday's action on Mosaic, if you see this with CF, that tells you something. Because again, they're in the same, they're in the same zip code. They're in the same neighborhood. If someone wants to buy CF aggressively, then they're probably going to come after Mosaic aggressively at some point. And look at that. Mosaic is up percentage-wise. What is it up? 4.6%. Not bad at all. Again, not everything. There's a lot of winners out there and a lot of other trades. I'm just always curious to how people pick their trades, because I see how if you study this and you studied Livermore, the leaders lead. They give you the best understanding of the market. And that's why I tell people, like, I don't trade the trash names. They're like, oh, you could have made so much more. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. But I know when you trade the leaders, again, read the Livermore books, study this. It's like trading Apple. That's why I always pay attention. Like when Apple's going, looks like it's about to turn over, the market's probably going to turn over. Anyway, back to the point. Leaders lead. Well, trade the leaders in the fertilizer sector. Trade the leaders in steel sector. Trade the leaders in whatever sector you are trading. Or at least watch them, because they're going to give you a better tell than just generic names in the market. I tell that to people all the time. Oh, what's tech going to do? Well, you better look at what Apple's going to do. What is Meta going to do? What's Google going to do? What's Amazon doing? Those are going to lead more than the names that got. Remember, they crushed 70-80% while those held up. Keep in mind, remember that? Remember the tech wreck that was going on earlier? Those names, they did their own thing. And those in the market held up when Facebook, Amazon, Google, all them held up. Just keep that in mind. Apple, that the market is the power to lead up and down. Just be safe. Speaking of tech, we talked about Apple blowing out here, multiple gap, lower high, lower low, big volume, bigger volume, professional gap. Now you're over the 20-day. I think it's bullish. How much higher? At this point, you have like this W pattern. Let me run something real quick, because I think people start to see why I think you have a little bigger of an up leg. Because I think you can run the fibs here, and I would not be surprised if the 618. Look at that. Look at the 200-day. Yeah, 160 to 150, somewhere between this range. Now, why people say, like, that's a wide range. Well, again, we don't know until we get there, right? You don't know how to judge the character of the market in volume until what? The candles paint. You get there. I hope that makes sense. Meta, here's another trade we got in. Awesome. Channel low. Everyone's like, this is a big engulfing bar. And it's like, it's at channel low. Let's see what happens here. Chop. Professional gap higher. I've gotten like a couple of DMs today of people like, oh, I'm taking my Facebook gains. And it's like, this is the trend. This is the counter move. Look at the volume. Lighter. Oh, but it's not going up every day, Dan. Well, no crap. 6.5 hours in the trading day. It doesn't always have to go up. Again, and even if it goes sideways a day or two, that is perfectly fine by me, because I know what happens. You got to shake out hands. Got to shake out weak hands. Like, what if it's this day and then it just continues on? What if it's this day and continues on? Point being is, you can't go in one direction all the time. Like the fallacies and the beliefs of traders, because they apply what they want to see in day trading to swing trading, and it's just not the case. Even in day trading, there's 10-minute bar that doesn't go with the trend. There's, an hourly, whatever you want to trade off, 1 minute, whatever. You get moves of chop and sideways. And I'm always amazed that when people then look at the daily, they think it's just straight up and straight down and straight up. And it's like, no, these are very rare moves. This is a very rare move, because that was a straight bull market rally or bear market rally. I hope people realize that. Like, it's going to take its time. And that's why I keep saying, well, don't cry at me if you bought it at 150s and sold it at 170. If this is up in the 200 range, but you could not be patient. You just couldn't. Because that sucks. Because, again, you can only leverage so many plays. You can only leverage your time into so many trades and execute. And anyway, AMD. Talked about this. I've got a small little short that I'm just keeping on from higher prices, just in case the market does melt down and I don't watch it. I don't care. But I'm actually hoping it does rally, because then what? I can short more. Same thing. Again, I expect tech to rally now. People, all it takes is one person to try to like be annoying, and it's like, why are you bothering me? Why don't you look at your own evidence and your trading account and your trading history to learn? Because I don't mind, and I think that's what people try to do. They bait me into trying to help them, and I honestly I take the bait because I feel like I will help you because I've been in your position. That's the thing. I don't people realize, like, I have made every mistake 17 times at least, and I know what you're going through. It's just sometimes you have to surrender. You never heard the saying, like, you have to surrender to the universe to find the answer? Like, all is known is not what is known, meaning you don't even know how to succeed because all you know is what you know. That's the kind of things that I had to go through that everybody goes through. And I hope as a community, that's what we're trying to help do, is to open people's minds. And again, there's a few bad apples and they'll come and go, but ultimately you have to learn how to do this. You do not want me to press enter for you. I've managed other people's money and I hate it because it's a never ending game of like emu conspiracy of what this devil's advocate that. Like you can't be, you have to be evidence based, because if you're emotional based, the emotions of your trading will be changed based on the ticks. If it goes up, you're bullish. If it's down, it's bearish. You have to be able to see through that. I have to be able to see through Nucor's down $3 at one point. Is that bearish or is it a time to buy? You get what I'm saying here. Hopefully people are learning, because I post this stuff all the time. Roblox, we talked about this. There's your bottom. Here was your retest. Didn't get any. I know some people that did. Hey, congrats, because this thing is a monster. 24 up to 37. It's going higher if the tech rallies. Keep in mind, it is absolutely obliterated. Not surprise me if it got up even to the 50s. I think this is a buyout target at some point. Tesla, I get a lot of questions. Short, when's the short? When's the short, Dan? Don't short it. It's a W, and the market is rallying. Yes, maybe you can short it for your 10 points, your 20 points, maybe even 30 or 40. But is it worth doing? I would argue no. That's me. No one listens. Some people listen. Some people care to take the advice. Whatever. If you short it here and the market is rallying, just be aware. This might be a fist in your face from the market going uppercut, because you're not seeing it. And it's coming from below and it's going to hit you right in the face. Because this thing could pop 30, 40, 50 points pretty quickly. Let's get into a few of the names. EXPI. Where are you? Holding up well. Here's a company with great fundamentals. I am seeing some a lot of anomalies down here. And if you wanted to buy this thing in the 12s, don't be surprised if it ran up to 20. I could see that. Again, at long term, I mean, dominating, but fundamentals don't matter. UTHR, we recommended this one. If people remember, we said double bottom. Here was your first clue. And then this was, remember we talked about retests and how you can get aggressive at lows to retest. Look at that. Look at the volume there. I'm pretty sure that was earnings and this was some sort of other news. And then it went sideways and higher. And then we said, oh, here's your retest. Here's your retest. And zing! Now we said, hey, you're going to hold the 215s minimum. That would be the key. Making higher highs. I thought it might be an M top. Does it really matter? I mean, I'm personally not trading. I'm trying to give the best advice on it. I think at this point, the best thing to say is that it's acting strong. So if you took some profits here and you bought the dip, please just take more profits as it rises. And you go, well, Dan, the market's bullish. Keep in mind, this thing did its own thing. While the market, and from March to May, the market in June got slammed. This went higher. At some point, this is how this works. Keep in mind, it might not outperform. Someone's like, oh, what are you talking about? It's going to no, it might just flag. It might lag. But again, biotech is a sector that I and everyone else struggle with, because it's not based on fundamentals. It's on news releases and all sorts of like crazy crap, like FDA approvals and things that, studies that you don't know the answer to until they pop up. So be careful. Let's end it with oil, as we always do. USO talked about, again, unwinding some puts. Why? Channel low, and then it just kept making higher highs. And I'm like, if it gets over the 50-day, I'm gone. Well, what did we say? Don't be surprised. Let me widen this, because now you can see. Oh, geez. You can see that we got the pop, and it's like, well, why not we fill the gap? And it hit the 83s, and now it backed off. But here's the thing. I think the market goes higher if oil pulls back, but I could also see the market holding up and this chopping. Either way, if you're going to short oil, lock in tight here. Have a stop. Be patient. Give yourself time. Meaning, oil could pop, and it could chop, before it drops. It doesn't have to be an immediate blowdown wipeout. So if you are going to short it, give yourself plenty of time. Time is your friend. Especially if you're shorting this. Do shares. Remember, this is a deteriorating piece of crap fund. Sell calls, whatever you need to do. I just don't see higher oil prices near term because, or not near term, long term, because I think if we go into a bear market, what causes bear markets? Inflation, oil prices rising. Well, that all leads to what? More oil supply, demand destruction, and if you're not sure, check out 2008. Same, I mean, literally, oil was one of the best shorts ever in my life because I was like, this is not going to continue higher. Wadam. Oaxaca. Congrats, Abs, on your win last night, by the way. Yeah, keep that in mind. XOP, and a lot of people's like, oh, but you went below your target here of 123. Yeah, and it got really close to 200. Doesn't matter. Took the profit, took off drip. You could hedge drip. I've got enough now that I don't, enough shares. If it goes lower, it doesn't really bother me. My oil trade is essentially on pause now because, again, I don't expect it to go. This thing went from what, 171 down to 120, 118. And you think it's just gonna go lower and lower. Well, if the market's rallying and the market's feeling good, people are gonna buy this stuff. I've said this a million times in the Discord room. I think it's some sort of right shoulder. Now, could it get up to 148? I don't know. But could it get back up to 131? Could it get back up to, let's draw out this zone. Could it get back up into this like 148 to 141 area? Let me even expand it down because you can see there's a few candles that kind of got stuck here. That's my thinking. Maybe it gets back up to here. Maybe this is the range. Oh, but Dan, I got a short right now. And it's like, no. No. Notice how we like layer in, layer out. Well, you should be layering mostly out because even if you were early like me and it bit you in the butt, I'm not going to hold it longer if it doesn't seem like it's going to go lower near term. Like, does that make sense? Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got in early, yada, 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 busting balls. Fine, whatever. It is what it is. But here's the point. The down move is exhausted. This is exhausting. This is a marathon. It has to counter rally. Market's rallying. Keep that in mind. Okay, Exxon Mobil, same thing. I know some people had some long dated puts on this or trading it, and I was like, I thought we'd get and fill this gap. We didn't. We hit the 50-day and dropped. Market's rising. Don't be surprised if we hold up. And so I personally would look on Exxon in the maybe mid 90s. That's what I would do. If I had puts, I'd have already tossed them in the trash and given up on them for now. Knowing that could always come back to them later. Because again, I hate holding options. Holding being long calls or puts when the market's going against me. Now again, if you just enter the trade, that's the problem. If you had puts from up here and you were expecting it, fine, you could hedge it, you want to do whatever. I just see other opportunities. People are like, oh, you're such a flippant person. And it's like, no, I analyze probabilities, and it seems very likely to me that what? Oil is going sideways to up near term. And it has. And so if there's other stuff out there, I'll go on it. And I'll come back. Doesn't mean I can't go back to it. I watch oil every day. All right. XLE, same thing. This thing went from like 93, 90 down to 70. I mean, that's a big move. Expect a rally. We'll end it with those oil names that we've been adding on every day. Because let's keep an eye on the market. PXD talked about this getting close to the 200-day, this old channel area, and it's holding, bouncing. This big volume is a red flag because look what happened. You had a gap up, retest. It's probably going higher. And higher meaning, lifting off of the 220s, 240s, maybe 250s, maybe the 20-day curling down. EQT, everybody's favorite in the XOP. Company is whatever you want to call it. Again, I drew this out like I thought the shoulder would be here, or it would just wipe out. Did not wipe out. We held the blue zone. Now what? Probably going higher. The head and shoulders to go lower later. Keep that in mind. Like, this is time passing. This is you understanding the prospects of time. Chevron, 200-day. Not surprised. Or FANG, sorry, 200-day. Chevron, we talked about this topping, this little, like, the anomalies at the highs up here. Why am I missing Chevron? It's like you just cannot hit Chevron. There we go. Anomaly, little higher high doji. Pull back. Again, I hope this all helps. Keep in mind, like, this is hard stuff because the average person really thinks that everything's going to happen every day in their favor. They have this day trading mentality, and they try to apply it to swing trading. And it's like, hey, you went from 155, you got up to 170, and it pulled back 2 points today, basically. A point or from the high, 170, 175, we're at 160. You're back 2 points off the high. Ah, it's falling. And again, maybe it pulls back to the 20-day. Be a buyer. Like, just be aware. Like, if this pull back, great. Nucor, same thing. You know, you got it today on a dip after it's basing at the lows. Here you go. Here's the base. Pulled back. Maybe it pulls. I don't know if it pulls back to 107, but I was buying today because I think it's about to break. I thought this is the capitulation and this is the trap. And if you get the capitulation followed by the trap, usually the trap closes quickly and you go higher. We'll see. I mean, again, 110, 111. I'm telling you, I mean, I said this in the Discord, there is an upgrade coming. When they guided up last week, I guess it's 2 weeks ago, and then the market went lower, some analyst is going to be like, oh, well, the market looks okay. It's time to upgrade it. All right. Same thing. Let's keep an eye on Mosaic. And great trade, Drew. He made me realize, like, I'm like, why am I thinking this is going to go lower if the market's floating higher? This anomaly was immediately met with buyers the next day, and then we're making higher highs off the lows. Looks good. Check out the monthly. Again, we talk about this thing like, this is going to go on a monster run. I just don't think it's there yet. I think we're in this base pattern. Again, I thought maybe the monthly channel low, but it's like, you know what? This is why you have to be mentally flexible. You don't know anything for certain. On that note, have a great night. Hit me up if you have questions. Hopefully you guys think this is providing tons of value, because again, it provides value for me. It puts my thoughts out on there and it keeps it fresh so I don't get confused and start puking up Facebook when it pulls back a point. Love you guys. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.